You're saying yes to things that are destroying you, right now, today, this week. You're agreeing to requests that drain you, obligations that deplete you, and commitments that betray who you actually are. And you think this makes you a good person. You think this is what strength looks like. You think saying yes to everything is somehow noble or virtuous. You're wrong, and it's costing you everything. Friedrich Nietzsche understood something that most people spend their entire lives missing. The ability to say no is the foundation of all personal power. It's not one skill among many. It's the skill, the one that makes everything else possible. He wrote, "The essential thing is to have a long obedience in the same direction." But here's what he didn't say explicitly but understood completely. You cannot have that focused direction if you're saying yes to every distraction, every request, every obligation that comes your way. Every yes to something that doesn't serve you is a no to something that does. Every yes to someone else's priority is a no to your own. Every yes spoken from obligation is a betrayal of your authentic self. Most people go through life as slaves to their inability to say no. They're at the mercy of everyone else's agenda. They live according to other people's priorities. They spend their finite time and energy on things that don't matter to them because they lack the strength to simply say no. And they wonder why they feel powerless, why they feel exhausted, why their life doesn't feel like their own. Nietzsche saw this pattern everywhere. People who claimed to want one thing, but lived in service of something completely different. Why? Because they couldn't say no to the expectations, demands, and requests that pulled them away from what actually mattered. Today I'm going to show you why saying no is the most powerful thing you can do. Not just sometimes, not just to big things, but as a fundamental practice that transforms everything. This isn't about becoming difficult or uncooperative. This is about understanding that your ability to say no determines your ability to say yes to what actually matters. Let's begin. The first truth. Every yes you give costs you something you can never get back. Here's what most people don't understand about saying yes. It's not free. It's not neutral. Every single yes you give costs you something precious that you can never recover. Time, energy, attention, opportunity. When you say yes to covering someone's shift at work, you're saying no to rest, to your side project, to time with people you actually care about. When you say yes to serving on another committee, you're saying no to focused work on your actual goals. When you say yes to helping someone move, you're saying no to whatever you would have done with that day. Nietzsche would tell you, understand that your life is finite. You have a limited amount of time, a limited amount of energy. Every yes is an investment. The question is whether you're investing wisely or squandering your resources on things that don't matter. Most people treat their yes like it's unlimited, like they can say yes to everything and somehow still have enough for what matters to them. This is delusional. Think about last week. How many times did you say yes to things you didn't actually want to do? How many hours did you spend on obligations that drained you? How many requests did you agree to because you felt like you couldn't say no? Now add up those hours. That's time you'll never get back, gone forever, spent on things that probably don't align with your actual values or goals. And here's the brutal part. You probably didn't even enjoy most of those yeses. You probably felt resentful while doing them. You probably wished you hadn't agreed, but you did it anyway because you lacked the strength to say no. Nietzsche understood that strong people are selective about their yeses. They understand that every yes is sacred because it costs them something irreplaceable. Weak people say yes to everything because they don't value their own time and energy enough to protect it. Let me show you what I mean. Strong person gets asked to help with something. Let me check my priorities and get back to you. They consider whether this aligns with their values and whether they have genuine capacity. If not, they say no clearly and without guilt. Weak person gets asked, sure, no problem. Immediate yes. No consideration of their capacity, their priorities, their actual desires. Just automatic agreement driven by fear of disappointing someone. The strong person ends each week having spent their time on things that matter to them. The weak person ends each week exhausted, resentful, and wondering why they never have time for their own goals. The difference? One understands that every yes has a cost. The other treats their yes like it's worthless. Your time is the currency of your life. Every yes is you spending that currency. Start treating it like it actually matters, because once it's spent, you can never earn it back. The second truth: saying no is how you discover what you actually stand for. Nietzsche wrote extensively about becoming who you are, but here's what he understood that most people miss. You cannot become who you are while saying yes to everyone else's vision of who you should be. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your values, you're saying no to your authentic self. Every time you accommodate someone else's priorities at the expense of your own, you're betraying who you actually are. Saying no is how you draw the boundaries of your identity. It's how you define yourself, not through what you agree to, but through what you refuse. Think about the people you admire most, the ones with real character and integrity. What do they have in common? Clear boundaries, strong values, the ability to say no to things that don't align with who they are. They're not people pleasers. They're not endlessly accommodating. They're selective about what they say yes to, because they know who they are and what they stand for. Now think about people who seem to have no real identity. The chameleons, the people pleasers. What do they have in common? They say yes to everything. They accommodate everyone. They have no clear boundaries or values that they enforce. They're whoever they need to be in the moment, because they've never practiced saying no. They've never had to define who they actually are. Nietzsche would tell you, you discover yourself through refusal, through saying, "This is not me," and "I don't stand for that," and "No, I won't do that." Every no is an act of self-definition. You're declaring a boundary, you're stating a value, you're showing the world and yourself what you will and won't accept. Let me give you examples. Someone asks you to compromise your ethics for profit. Your number reveals that you value integrity over money. Someone asks you to spend time on something meaningless to you. Your number reveals what you actually find meaningful. Someone asks you to betray your own needs to accommodate theirs. Your no reveals that you have self-respect. But if you never say no, if you accommodate everything, you reveal nothing. You stand for nothing. You are nothing but a mirror reflecting back whatever others want from you. Here's what's probably happening in your life. You don't have a clear sense of identity. You don't know what you really stand for because you've never practiced defending it. You've never had to say, "No, that's not who I am," because you just accommodate everything. The path to knowing yourself requires saying no to things that aren't you. It requires being willing to define your boundaries, even when it disappoints people. Start paying attention to what you say no to. Those no's reveal your values more clearly than your yeses ever could. Because saying no costs something. It creates discomfort. So, what you're willing to refuse tells you what you actually care about protecting. If you can't say no to anything, you don't stand for anything. And if you don't stand for anything, you don't actually exist as a coherent self. You're just a collection of accommodations. The third truth: your no is more valuable than your yes. This is going to sound backwards, but listen carefully. The power of your yes is directly proportional to how often you say no. If you say yes to everything, your yes means nothing. It has no value. It's just automatic agreement that people can take for granted. But if you're selective with your yeses, if you frequently say no, then when you do say yes, it actually means something. It has weight. It matters. Nietzsche understood this principle deeply. Scarcity creates value. When something is rare, it becomes precious. When something is abundant, it becomes worthless. Your yes right now is worthless. Why? Because you give it away to everyone for nothing. You say yes to things you don't care about. You say yes to people who don't respect you. You say yes to requests that don't align with your values. So, when you say yes to something that actually matters, it carries no special significance. It's just another yes in a long line of yeses you give away freely. But imagine if you said no 90% of the time, if you were highly selective about what earned your yes, if you had clear criteria and you stuck to them. Now, when you say yes, people pay attention because they know it's rare. They know you've actually considered it. They know it means you're genuinely committed, not just automatically agreeing. Think about the people in your life who say yes to everything. When they agree to help you or commit to something, do you fully believe they'll follow through? Probably not, because you know they've overcommitted. You know they say yes without really thinking about capacity. Now think about someone who frequently says no, but occasionally says yes. When they commit, you believe it, because you know they're selective. You know they've made a genuine choice. Nietzsche would tell you, make your yes scarce, protect it, treat it as the valuable resource it is. Say no to most things so that your occasional yes actually carries weight and meaning. Here's how this transforms your relationships. When you start saying no regularly, several things happen. First, people stop asking you to do things that don't respect your time or energy. Why? Because they know you'll say no. You've trained them that you have boundaries. Second, when you do say yes, people value it more. They recognize it as a real commitment, not just automatic accommodation. Third, you attract different people. The users and takers leave because you're no longer useful to them. The quality people stay because they respect boundaries and appreciate genuine yeses. Fourth, you actually have capacity to follow through on your yeses because you're not overcommitted from saying yes to everything. Your chronic yes saying has made you unreliable, resentful, and exhausted. Your number makes you powerful, respected, and able to genuinely commit when you choose to. Stop devaluing your yes by giving it away freely. Make people earn it. Make yourself earn it by only saying yes to things that genuinely align with your values and priorities. The fourth truth: no is a complete sentence. Stop explaining yourself. Here's where most people fail at saying no. They think they owe everyone an elaborate explanation. They think no isn't valid unless it's justified, explained, defended. Nietzsche would say, this belief is what keeps you enslaved. The moment you think you owe people an explanation for your no is the moment you've given them power over you. No is a complete sentence. Full stop. You don't owe anyone a justification for protecting your time, energy, or boundaries. Watch what happens when most people try to say no. I can't help you move because I have this thing. And also I'm not feeling great and my schedule is really packed, and they pile on excuses. They over-explain. They apologize profusely. Why? Because they don't believe their no is legitimate on its own. They think they need a good enough reason that the other person will accept. This is slave mentality. You're asking for permission to have boundaries. You're treating your time and energy as if it belongs to others by default, and you need special circumstances to reclaim it. Strong people say no differently. I can't help you move, period. No explanation, no apology, no justification, just a clear, simple no. And here's what happens. Sometimes the other person pushes back. Why not? And this is the test. The weak person starts explaining, justifying, defending. The strong person says, because I'm saying no. That sounds harsh. It feels uncomfortable, but it's the only way to actually have boundaries. Because here's what Nietzsche understood. When you explain your no, you're inviting negotiation. You're opening the door for the other person to challenge your reasons, to find the flaw in your logic, to pressure you into changing your no to a yes. I can't help because I have plans. What plans? Can't you reschedule? Now you're on the defensive. You're having to justify your plans. You're having to prove they're important enough to warrant your number. This is a trap, and you walk into it every time you explain yourself. Compare that to, I can't help you move. Why not? Because I'm not available. But can't you? I've already said no. I'm not available. Clean, clear. No room for negotiation. No invitation to challenge your reasons. People who respect boundaries will accept your no without needing an explanation. People who push back, who demand justifications, who won't accept your no, those are people who don't respect you or your boundaries, and they're showing you exactly why you need to say no to them. Here's your practice. Start saying no without explaining. Just no. No, I can't. No, that doesn't work for me. No, I'm not available. It's going to feel rude at first. Your conditioning is screaming that you need to soften it, explain it, apologize for it. Don't. The discomfort you feel is your programming fighting against your autonomy. Push through it. Watch what happens. Some people will respect it immediately. Those are your people. Some people will push back, will demand explanations, will try to guilt you. Those people are revealing that they don't respect your autonomy. Note that. Adjust your relationship accordingly. Nietzsche would tell you, stop defending your boundaries, state them, and enforce them. The people worth having in your life won't need an explanation. The people who demand one aren't worth having in your life. Your no doesn't need justification. It needs enforcement. the fifth truth. Saying no to others is how you say yes to yourself. This is the truth that changes everything. You cannot say yes to yourself while constantly saying yes to everyone else. Every time you say yes to someone else's agenda, you're saying no to your own. Every time you accommodate someone else's priorities, you're deprioritizing yours. Every time you sacrifice your time for someone else, you're stealing it from yourself. Nietzsche wrote about becoming who you are, but that requires saying no to everyone trying to make you into who they need you to be. Your parents have a vision of who you should be. Your partner has expectations, your friends have needs. Your employer has demands. Society has standards. Social media has pressure. And all of them want your yes. All of them want you to accommodate, to conform, to prioritize their agenda over yours. If you say yes to all of it, what's left for you? Where's the space for you to become who you actually are? Where's the time for you to pursue what you actually care about? There isn't any. You've given it all away. Think about your actual goals, the things you say you want to achieve, the person you say you want to become, the life you say you want to build. Now look at how you actually spend your time. How much of it goes to other people's priorities? How much of it goes to obligations you resent? How much of it goes to things that don't align with your goals at all? If you're like most people, the vast majority of your time and energy goes to everyone and everything except what you actually claim to value. Why? Because you can't say no. You can't say no to covering shifts. You can't say no to family obligations. You can't say no to friends who need favors. You can't say no to your employer asking for more. You can't say no to social pressure. So, your own goals, your own dreams, your own priorities, they get whatever's left, which is usually nothing. Nietzsche would tell you, every no to someone else's agenda is a yes to your own. Every boundary you enforce is space you reclaim for yourself. Every request you decline is time and energy you can invest in what actually matters to you. You want to write a book? You need to say no to social obligations that eat your evenings. You want to build a business? You need to say no to time-wasting commitments. You want to get in shape? You need to say no to people and activities that drain the energy you need for training. Your yes to yourself requires no to everything else. Here's the hard truth. You're not too busy to work on your goals. You're too busy saying yes to things that have nothing to do with your goals. And then you wonder why you never make progress. Start treating your own priorities as seriously as you treat everyone else's requests. When someone asks for your time, ask yourself, is this request more important than my own goals? If not, say no. When you feel obligated to do something, ask yourself, is this obligation serving who I want to become? If not, say no. When you feel pressure to accommodate, ask yourself, is this accommodation worth sacrificing my own priorities? If not, say no. Your life is the sum of what you say yes to. Right now, you're saying yes to everyone else's life and no to your own. Flip that. Say no to everyone else so you can finally say yes to yourself. The sixth truth. People who can't handle your no don't respect you. Anyway, this is the fear that keeps most people trapped in chronic yes saying. If I say no, people won't like me. They'll think I'm selfish. They'll be upset with me. Nietzsche would tell you, the people who can't handle your no are the exact people you need to say no to, because they don't respect you. They respect what you can do for them. Think about it. If someone genuinely respects you as a person, they respect your boundaries. They respect your right to say no. They respect that you have your own priorities and limitations. They might be disappointed when you say no, but they accept it. They don't push. They don't guilt you. They don't make you feel bad for having boundaries. But the people who get upset when you say no, the ones who push back, who try to change your mind, who make you feel guilty, they don't respect you. They respect your usefulness to them. They're fine with you as long as you're accommodating their needs. But the moment you prioritize yourself, the moment you set a boundary, they have a problem with you. That tells you everything you need to know about the relationship. Nietzsche observed that weak people need others to have no boundaries because it makes them feel less guilty about having no boundaries themselves. Your accommodation enables their selfishness. Your yes makes them feel entitled to unlimited access to your time and energy. When you start saying no, you're disrupting that dynamic, and they don't like it. Watch what happens when you start setting boundaries with people who are used to unlimited access. They'll push back. They'll accuse you of changing. They'll say you're not the person you used to be. They'll call you selfish. Good. They're right. You are changing. You're becoming someone with self-respect and boundaries. And they're upset because the version of you that had no boundaries was more convenient for them. Let them be upset. Let them call you selfish. Let them think you've changed. Because the alternative is continuing to sacrifice yourself to maintain relationships with people who only value you for what you can do for them. Real friends, real partners, real family who actually care about you. They'll respect your boundaries. They might not always like when you say no, but they'll accept it. They'll appreciate that you're taking care of yourself. The users, the takers, the manipulators, they'll push back hard because your boundaries threaten their access to you. Nietzsche would say, their reaction to your no tells you everything about whether they deserve your yes. If someone respects your no, they might deserve your occasional yes. If someone can't handle your no, they don't deserve access to you at all. Stop being afraid of people being upset with your boundaries. Their upset is information. It's showing you who they really are and what they really value about you. The people worth keeping will stay. The people who leave when you start having boundaries were only there to use you anyway. Good riddance. The seventh truth. Your no protects your yes. Without boundaries, commitment means nothing. Here's something that might surprise you. Saying no is what makes your commitments possible. Without the ability to say no, you can't truly commit to anything because commitment requires focus, time, and energy. And if you're saying yes to everything, you have none of those to give to what you've committed to. Nietzsche talked about long obedience in the same direction. Sustained commitment to something meaningful. But that's impossible if you're constantly distracted by obligations you can't say no to. Think about someone who's achieved something significant, built a successful business, written a book, mastered a skill, created something meaningful. What did they all have to do? Say no, constantly, to distractions, to requests, to obligations that didn't serve their commitment. You can't write a book while saying yes to every social invitation. You can't build a business while saying yes to every request for your time. You can't master anything while saying yes to every distraction. Your commitment requires protection, and saying no is how you protect it. Every yes to something that doesn't serve your commitment is a betrayal of that commitment. Every obligation you take on that pulls you away from your focus is you choosing that obligation over your stated priority. Here's what this looks like practically. You commit to getting in shape. That commitment requires time for training, energy for workouts, focus on nutrition. But you can't say no, so you say yes to late nights out, yes to covering extra shifts, yes to stressful obligations that drain your energy, yes to social events centered around unhealthy food. And then you wonder why you're not making progress on your fitness goals. It's not lack of commitment, it's lack of boundaries. You committed to fitness, but you didn't commit to saying no to things that undermine that commitment. Nietzsche would tell you, your commitments are only as strong as your ability to say no to everything that threatens them. Want to commit to your relationship? You need to say no to things that steal time and energy from your partner. Want to commit to your career growth? You need to say no to activities that don't develop relevant skills. Want to commit to your mental health? You need to say no to people and situations that damage it. Your yes to a commitment requires thousands of no's to everything else. This is why people who can't say no never achieve anything significant. Not because they're not talented or capable, but because they can't protect their commitments from the constant assault of requests, obligations, and distractions. They commit to things with their words, but betray those commitments with their yeses to everything else. Start thinking of every no as protection for your yes. Every boundary you enforce is space you're creating for what you've committed to. Every request you decline is time and energy you're preserving for your priorities. Without no, your yes is meaningless. It's just noise. It's an intention with no protection. Your commitments deserve better than that. They deserve the protection that only saying no can provide. The eighth truth, saying no, now prevents resentment. Later, here's the pattern that's probably destroying your relationships right now. You say yes when you mean no. You accommodate when you don't want to. You agree when you'd rather refuse. And then you resent it. You resent the person who asked. You resent yourself for saying yes. You resent doing the thing you agreed to. That resentment poisons everything. Nietzsche understood that unexpressed no's don't disappear. They transform into bitterness, resentment, and passive aggression. You say yes to helping someone move, but you didn't really want to. You just couldn't say no. So, the entire time you're helping, you're resentful. You're going through the motions, but making sure they know you're unhappy about it. You're doing them a favor, but making it cost them in guilt and discomfort. Is that actually helping? Is that actually kindness? Or you say yes to covering someone's shift, but you're resentful about it. So, you complain to other coworkers. You make passive-aggressive comments. You do the work, but you make sure everyone knows you're put out. Is that better than just saying no? Nietzsche would say, a clear no is kinder than a resentful yes. It's honest. It's respectful. It doesn't create the toxic dynamic of agreeing to something while radiating resentment about it. When you say no, honestly, the interaction is clean. Yes, the person might be disappointed, but they can move on. They can ask someone else. They can make other plans. When you say yes resentfully, you poison the interaction. You make them feel guilty for asking. You create tension. You damage the relationship. And the worst part, the resentment accumulates. Every yes you give when you mean no adds to the reservoir of bitterness you're carrying around. Eventually you explode. Something relatively minor happens and you have a completely disproportionate reaction. And the other person is confused because, from their perspective, you've always been fine with everything. You never said no. You never indicated there was a problem, but you were building resentment the whole time. Every yes you didn't mean was adding pressure, and eventually it erupts. This pattern destroys relationships. It creates confusion, hurt, and distance. The solution is painfully simple. Say no when you mean no. Don't say yes and then resent it. Don't agree and then punish the person for asking. If you don't want to do something, say no. Clearly, without guilt or resentment, just no. Yes, they might be disappointed in the moment, but that's better than the toxic resentment that comes from saying yes when you mean no. Nietzsche would tell you, respect yourself and others enough to be honest. A clear no is respectful. A resentful yes is manipulative and toxic. Stop saying yes to preserve the relationship. It's not preserving it. It's slowly poisoning it with unexpressed resentment. Say no. Deal with the momentary discomfort of potential disappointment, and keep your relationships clean of the resentment that comes from constant self-betrayal. The ninth truth. No is how you train people how to treat you. Here's something most people never realize. When you never say no, you're actively training people to disrespect you. You're teaching them that your time doesn't matter, your energy doesn't matter, your boundaries don't matter. You're teaching them that they can ask for anything and you'll give it. And they learn that lesson very well. Nietzsche understood power dynamics in relationships. He knew that people treat you according to the standards you set and enforce. If you set no standards, if you never say no, people will treat you according to what benefits them. Not because they're bad people, but because you've shown them that's acceptable. Think about the people in your life who take advantage of you, who ask for favors constantly, who cancel on you but expect you to never cancel on them, who take your time for granted. Did they start out that way? Probably not. You trained them into it. The first time they asked for a favor, you said yes. The first time they canceled plans, you said it was fine. The first time they disrespected your time, you accommodated. Each yes was a lesson. This behavior is acceptable. Each accommodation taught them. You don't value yourself enough to push back. Over time, they learned exactly how much they can take from you, because you showed them through your inability to say no. Now you resent them. But it's not entirely fair. You taught them to treat you this way. Nietzsche would say, people respond to the boundaries you enforce, not the boundaries you wish you had. If you wish people respected your time, but you never say no when they waste it, they won't respect your time. Why would they? You've demonstrated through your actions that your time isn't valuable enough to protect. If you wish people reciprocated, but you keep giving without expecting anything back and never saying no, they won't reciprocate. You've trained them that the relationship is one-directional. Here's how you change this. Start saying no. Consistently. When people ask for things that don't work for you, say no. When people treat your time as less valuable than theirs, say no. When people take without giving, say no to further taking. At first, they'll push back. They're used to unlimited access. Your no disrupts that. They won't like it. Hold the line anyway. Because you're retraining them. You're teaching a new lesson. I have boundaries. My time and energy are valuable. I'm selective about what I say yes to. Some people will adjust. They'll learn to respect your boundaries. Those are the people worth keeping. Some people will refuse to adjust. They'll get upset. They'll pull away. They'll accuse you of changing. Let them. They were only there because you had no boundaries. They don't want a relationship with you. They want unlimited access to what you can do for them. Nietzsche would tell you, stop resenting people for treating you exactly how you've trained them to treat you. Start setting different standards. Enforce them with consistent numbers. And watch how your relationships transform. The users leave. The quality people stay and respect you more. And new people who respect boundaries are attracted to you because you actually have some. Your number is how you teach people that you respect yourself. And people who respect themselves attract respect from others. The 10th truth. Your life belongs to you. Stop asking permission to live it. This is the ultimate truth that ties everything together. Your life is yours, not your parents', not your partner's, not your employer's, not society's, yours. And every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve your life, you're giving away pieces of it. Nietzsche wrote, "Become who you are." But you cannot become who you are while living according to everyone else's expectations and demands. Every yes to someone else's vision of who you should be is a no to who you actually are. Every accommodation of their priorities is an abandonment of yours. Every sacrifice of your needs for theirs is a betrayal of yourself. And at the end of your life, you'll look back and realize you spent it being who everyone else needed instead of who you actually were. That's the real cost of never saying no. Not just exhaustion or resentment. Complete loss of your own life. You get one life, one chance to figure out who you are and become that fully. One opportunity to pursue what matters to you, to build what you want to build, to live how you want to live. And you're spending it accommodating everyone else's agenda because you can't say no. Think about where you'll be in 10 years if nothing changes. Still saying yes to everything, still prioritizing everyone else. Still sacrificing yourself to avoid disappointing people. What will you have built? What will you have become? What will you have accomplished for yourself? Probably nothing, because all your time and energy will have gone to everyone and everything else. Nietzsche would tell you, stop living like you need permission. Stop acting like your life belongs to everyone else. Stop saying yes to their demands and no to your own dreams. Your life is yours. Start treating it like it matters. Start protecting it. Start saying no to everything that doesn't serve who you want to become. This isn't selfish. This is the only way to actually live instead of just existing as a resource for everyone else to use. Say no to obligations that drain you. Say no to people who don't respect you. Say no to expectations that don't align with your values. Say no to demands on your time that don't serve your goals. Say yes to yourself, to your dreams, to your priorities, to your life. But that yes to yourself requires thousands of no's to everyone and everything else. The path forward. How to start. Saying no. Today. You've spent years, maybe decades, saying yes to everything. You can't change that pattern overnight, but you can start today. Here's how. First, start with small numbers to low-stakes requests. Don't begin by saying no to your boss or your family. Start with strangers and acquaintances. Would you like to donate? Number. Can you take this survey? Number. Want to try this sample? Number. Practice the physical sensation of saying no. Get comfortable with the word coming out of your mouth. Second, stop explaining or apologizing. Just no. No, I can't. No, that doesn't work for me. No, I'm not available. Feel the discomfort of not justifying yourself. Sit with it. Don't fill the silence with explanations. Third, identify your top 3 priorities. What actually matters to you? What are you trying to build or become? Write them down. These are your yes criteria. If a request doesn't serve one of these 3 priorities, the default answer is no. Fourth, practice the pause. When someone asks you for something, don't answer immediately. Say, "Let me check my schedule and get back to you." This gives you space to actually consider whether you want to say yes instead of automatically agreeing out of habit or fear. Fifth, expect pushback and prepare for it. When you start saying no, people who benefited from your yes will push back. Have a response ready. I understand you're disappointed, but my answer is no. Repeat as necessary. Don't engage in debate. Sixth, track your numbers. At the end of each week, write down every time you said no. Celebrate it. Each no is you protecting your life and priorities. Seventh, notice how you feel after saying no. Yes, there's initial discomfort, but notice the relief, the sense of integrity, the feeling of self-respect. That feeling is you honoring yourself. Let it reinforce the behavior. The power is yours, but only if you claim it. Nietzsche's message to you is clear. You have one life. It's finite, it's precious, and it's yours. Every yes you give to something that doesn't serve you is a theft from yourself. Every accommodation of others at your expense is a betrayal of your potential. The power to change this is in your hands. It's in your mouth. It's in one simple word, no. Say it more. Say it clearly. Say it without apology or explanation. Say no to requests that don't align with your priorities. Say no to people who don't respect your boundaries. Say no to obligations that drain you. Say no to expectations that betray who you are. And in doing so, say yes to yourself, to your dreams, to your potential, to your life. The strongest thing you can do is protect what matters by refusing what doesn't. Stop being available to everyone and become available to yourself. Stop saying yes to them and start saying yes to you. Your life is waiting, but it requires you to say no to everything that isn't it. Start today. Start now. Start with the next request that comes your way. Say no and reclaim your life.